Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
You're listening to the Roaring Repeater podcast on 7220sports.com. Here's Cody.
Welcome into the Roaring Repeater podcast here on 7220sports.com. I am Cody Tucker, joined as always by Jared Newland. We are in our semi-new look studio. Still some work to be done in this particular area, but man, this place looks completely different.
It definitely does. I mean, just a paint job looks good, let alone walking in and you see glass and not a 1970s style wood door.
Yeah, this place looks like it has about 40 new doors to it. It looks so much bigger and so much wider and more open and just way nicer. Leslie did a hell of a job.
Some furniture to get back in here now, and if you hear any echoing in here, it's because they don't have the pads hanging on the walls yet, as in most studios, but we'll get that done here soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just good to be back in here. Some professional equipment, actually staring at some stuff that I really don't know what it does, but I can mess with enough buttons.
Hey, you're a troubleshooter like none other.
I don't even know what, maybe this is King FM, maybe it's not even on the air right now, maybe we're actually on the air. I hit all kinds of buttons.
We'll start getting some calls if it isn't.
How's summer going so far, Jared? I know we haven't been on in, I think, 19 days it's been. We have a couple of listeners that like to remind me of that.
Well, it feels like we live in the Northwest with all this rain we've been getting, but the sun's out today, so it's starting to feel like summer finally.
Getting any golf in?
A little bit, yeah. I played in a tournament a couple weeks ago, and then I've played a couple times, yeah.
Well, the summer has been not very summery, as you mentioned, raining a bunch, but also my 1-year-old is in daycare, so I've caught in about every plague you can catch. I'm talking from like hand and foot to ear infections to everything, strep, the pink eye, the everything, all in like a month and a half. And, of course, she gets it, and then I get it, and I get it really bad. And I'm never sick.
We know the pink eye came from when you were at that branding not too long ago.
Someone farted on my pillow, apparently. But on top of that, I don't know. I know you know this, Jared, but I don't know about our listeners and how familiar they are with this fun. But last week we were going to do a podcast, and I woke up and I had gout so bad in my left knee, just getting up to go to the bathroom was near impossible. So I actually had to go to the hospital and get a shot in my ass to kill that miserable pain. And I don't know if you've ever had gout before. I truly wouldn't wish it upon Brigham Young himself. That's how bad it
That's
hurts.
That's saying a lot.
It hurts like hell. So, yeah, on top of all the sicknesses and all that, it's been quite a summer. But going on vacation tomorrow, thank God. Heading to Texas.
I got to tell you a little Texas story a few weeks ago when we got back, so I'm anxious to hear your excursion.
I can't wait, man.
When you get back.
Lone Star, Whataburger, barbecue. That's all I'm looking for on this trip. That's it. And that's a good vacation for me. So excited to be down in the Lone Star State. That's kind of been my home away from home for a long time, and love it down there. So I did see it's going to be 100 degrees in every single town we're going to be in. So
I don't think Cheyenne has reached 75 degrees yet.
I don't think so.
I mean, it's been amazing that May, there was no snow.
Mm-hmm.
May, it never got below freezing. And we haven't got 75 degrees yet. I think this weekend we're going to.
Yeah.
But
crazy rain. I love it, though. I absolutely love it.
I went up to South Dakota for Memorial Day weekend, and I'm sure I've seen it as green before, but I don't know when. I mean, it is crazy. And now 3-4 weeks later, it's going to be even that much more green because of the rain we've had.
Absolutely.
Not just the spring snow. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kyle just drove to Salt Lake, and as you know, that's about the most brown drive you can make in this state, and it's green from border to border.
Yep.
So hopefully it lasts. That would be great. Since we were on last, really the biggest news to come out, as you all know, it's obviously a really slow time in Wyoming athletics, but the biggest news to come out is the actual, some of the game times were dropped, most of the game times actually, and Obviously, it's easy to look. September 2nd, when Texas Tech pays a visit to War Memorial Stadium. That game is at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, and it's on CBS. Couldn't be more perfect, in my opinion, Jared.
I totally agree, and we're not talking CBS Sports. We're talking the national network. And I've seen some reports out there that Texas Tech is a dark horse to be in the Final Four. I've seen a dark horse to win the Big 12. They're going to come into Laramie loaded and ready to roll. Wyoming's defense is going to have their hands full. We all know that. But 30,000 raucous fans in the war has done it before to these so-called Power 5 teams, and hopefully they can pull off another shocking upset. I'm guessing Wyoming's probably going to be about a 7 to 8 point underdog going into that game.
Well, I wondered if you looked, because Circa put out a couple days ago that the Cowboys are currently a 13-point underdog.
13, okay. I had not. The only thing I've paid attention to is the win total so far, and we can go over that here in a little bit, but 13, shoot.
Was Missouri 14? I can't remember.
Like that. I would, if anybody who wants to jump on an early line, hop on it, because if it goes to 12.5, then you're losing that hook, as they say in the business. So 13 is actually a really good number. You're just think about that hypothetically. 31-20, you're a winner. 27-14, you're a push. Things like that. I have a feeling it's probably gonna be a little higher scoring than that, but outright win too. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens.
This really reminds me of Mizzou. It reminds me of Mizzou in a lot of ways, especially this time slot, the opener, being huge underdogs. I mean, you all remember that game, Kelly Bryant coming over from Clemson. They were supposed to roll that night in Laramie, and it looked like they were going to roll early. They went up 14-0, about as quick as you can go up 14-0. But Cowboys, to their credit, they got off the mat. C.J. Colden with the big strip sack, or actually, I can't remember if it was him who had the strip. He had the recovery anyway for the touchdown.
Yeah, I can't remember who made the hit.
I feel like it might have been Josiah Hall.
But Kelly Bryant, I mean, you could tell after that he was like, oh, these boys came to play today.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is people are like, well, some people will say Missouri wasn't even good that year. Well, I would credit Wyoming with doing that to them.
It ruined their season.
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were supposed to be good.
Yeah, they were a dark horse as well.
Yep,
their coach got fired in the whole shebang after that year.
Yeah, and then Sean Chambers, stiff arm of their all-SEC linebacker.
Yep. Yeah, and Valladay with the huge touchdown run. That was just such a great night and perfect weather. And anyway, I think the 5:30 p.m. national television audience, you couldn't ask for much better than this. We've talked about it a lot already, and we'll talk about Tech a lot more as we get closer, but I'm with you. I wouldn't be the least bit shocked if the Cowboys win this game. I wouldn't be shocked if it's close. Not at all. When I saw that 13, I kind of said, I think I would even take that one. And it's not every day Texas Tech comes up to 72-20 and plays against a full house against a very motivated team like this, especially when they have Oregon coming next.
Do you still have that BetMGM account?
I never used it.
Do you still have it, though?
I would assume. I never used it.
Let's look that up. We might have to make you a little bit of money.
I think I have like $1,000 on there, too. We could just let it ride.
Sure, why not?
I'll do it.
I'd like to mess around with it and do some win totals.
Yeah,
that'd
absolutely. Yeah, it would. The next week, the Cowboys, of course, will be hosting Portland State. That is TBA as far as kickoff and TV. You've been on this side of things before, Jared. Do you imagine this one's going to be like a streaming thing, Mountain West?
It'll probably be a Mountain West Network game. And
noon, 1.
Just knowing Tom Berman and looking at the rest of the schedule, I'm guessing he's going to try to do a 1 o'clock or 1:30 game, an afternoon traditional kickoff, just because Appalachian State is a 5 p.m. kickoff. New Mexico and Fresno State are probably going to be night games as well, just the way it looks.
Yeah.
I would guess Tom would go with a afternoon 1:30.
Well, and I want to say after that Mizzou game in 2019, they hosted Idaho the next week, and I think that was a 1 o'clock game as well because it was only on the Mountain West Network. So then the Cowboys will travel to Austin, Texas, take on the Texas Longhorns, of course. That's a 6 p.m. game. That'll be on the Longhorn Network. I can already hear you crying about that one because you don't have the Longhorn Network. And
you talking to me or actually the listeners?
I'm talking to everybody under the sun, and I actually have the Longhorn Network.
Yeah, and it's on DirecTV out there, and it's on, if you have the entire sports package through your local cable, you can get it too.
I didn't know if it was I thought it was only on Dish.
No. Well, it used to be on Direct. I used to have it when I had Direct.
Yeah. I have that new cable box thing that gets you every channel under the sun.
The pirated box?
The pirated box, yeah. Don't tell on me.
Well, you can buy it at Frontier Days for like $3.50. So
It's worth its weight in gold, aside from the fact it doesn't have a DVR.
I had that entire sports package, and since we were out of the Boulder market, I didn't think that you could get the Pac-12 network in Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Sure as hell you can.
Oh, can you?
And I didn't figure it out until like after the basketball season was done. I was flipping through some higher channels, and I was like, there's no way I have that because it didn't have the lockout thing on it.
Yeah.
I click on it. I have like 4 Pac-12 channels.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could have been watching some Pac-12 basketball throughout the year.
That's what's great about the pirate box, though. I get all the baseball games. I get everything. Every HBO, everything.
Yep.
So it's fantastic. Minus
you're
the DVR
watching
part.
Skinamax.
Actually, Skinamax sucks now. They don't have any good stuff anymore.
Somebody will be DMing you and giving you some advice.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know what I'm missing here. So Kyle can come out and be surprised when he sees me on the couch. The Cowboys will host App State after that, of course, in Laramie, September 23rd. That is a 5 p.m. kickoff on CBS Sports Network. Weather should still be awesome September 23rd, I would imagine. And you remember the Cowboys play a ton of home games to start the year here, Texas being the only road game out of the first 6, excuse me. Then New Mexico comes to town. I believe we landed on that is homecoming.
It is.
Okay, yeah. So homecoming September 30th, TBA both on those. And then Saturday, October 7th, the defending Mountain West champion Fresno State Bulldogs will be in town. That's also a TBA, and that will be on Fox Networks. Cowboys will hit the road again October 14th at Air Force, 5 p.m. kickoff. That is on CBS Sports Network. You'd like to think 5 o'clock still, or 5 o'clock on October 14th?
Oh, yeah.
Still doable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, and then the bye week will be October 21st after that, right before the Cowboys take the trip to Boise State. Again, we've talked about it. I love that they have a bye week after Air Force and a bye week leading into Boise State. Craig Bull and them do actually prepare for Air Force during the spring and a little bit during the fall, and they see them so much they're very familiar. I like to have more time to prepare for Boise State and that quarterback, Taylon Green, right now than I do Air Force. I don't know how you feel about that. It's always good to have a week before Air Force, but that's all right.
I agree.
I'd rather have a week after for all the bumps and bruises you're going to take.
Especially for the offensive linemen to get their knees healed up after getting cut all the time, and the defensive linemen as well.
Yeah.
I've always liked Air Force at the end of the season or towards the end of the season better because they're not very deep and they're not as big as and physical as a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
So they're a little dinged up then. But this is, it's still week 6, so it still works out pretty good.
I think if you look at the other side, though, Jared, they could really be humming by that point, too. Like, really have this thing well-oiled by then, which they usually have it well-oiled about, at the end of the first quarter against the Sisters of the Poor they beat up on every year to open the season in Colorado Springs.
You mean like Delaware State? I haven't
Stony
even looked
Brook.
at their schedule, but I'm sure it's really tough.
Yep.
But, I mean, I understand. They play Navy and they play Army every single year. I get it. But those other 2 non-conference games usually, I mean, they did whoop up on CU last year. But, but CU was, one win last year?
Yeah, and now they've lost, 80% of their roster. And what did I read the other day? That almost all of them haven't even signed with Division I teams, or with Power 5 teams. Like, hardly, I don't think any of them have signed with a Power 5 team.
So I guess maybe he does know what he's doing. We'll see.
We'll see Colorado here in 2 years, I think? Travel to Boulder in 2025. I can't wait for that, if he's even still there by then. Here's the one that people were griping about pretty hard right off the bat, and that is Wyoming taking on Colorado State. That will be on a Friday night, November 3rd. I know people flip out about the Friday thing. I also hope people realize that TV pays the bills. Wyoming high school football is going on at that time, but as you mentioned, it's the semifinals.
It's semifinals.
So there's very few teams still alive.
Yep, there's only going to be 4 teams left in each class.
Plus, I believe the 6-man teams and stuff, they'll play their game on Saturday anyway.
Because a lot of them don't have lights. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe with new leadership at the Wyoming high school level too, that maybe Trevor will move all the semifinal games to Saturday.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe you will. Why not?
Because some of those games, I mean, the 4A's on Saturday afternoon anyway. You still have the championship, that is, so you still have a full week to prepare instead of. So maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, But
Trevor, if you listen to this, we hope you do.
But, you know, people talk about that game. Oh, it's a Friday night. You know, I got to work. That's why they let it out in early June. Prepare for it. Are you going to miss the border war because you got to work? I mean, let's get it together.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been really crappy weather for a Friday night home game before, and there still was a good turnout for the CSU game.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Josh's junior year.
Yeah.
And
2017.
I mean, that heavy downpour, and then it turned to snow.
Yeah.
That was a fun game, and if you guys remember that, it could replicate that. So come on back to the war that night.
Yeah, I mean, they gave you plenty of heads up.
Yep.
That's always blown my mind when people flip out about that. The next week, too, it works out nice. I mean, the Cowboys have another Friday night game. It happens the very next week at UNLV. That's a night game at 8:45 inside Allegiant Stadium there in Las Vegas. They have 7 days to prepare for the Rebels.
And I do believe the Raiders have a game on that Sunday, too. So if anybody's out there that are Raiders fans as well, they could catch a 2-for-1 there.
I don't know who the Raiders are playing. I think we all checked to see if it was the Bills.
It
but
wasn't
I
the
don't think it's
Bills. I can't remember either, but they definitely have a home game that Sunday.
I think the Raiders go to Buffalo this year. Hawaii, the return of Cam Stone, of course. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors will be in town Saturday, November 18th. That is a TBA all the way around, too. You might be able to add some more clarity to this. What is the Hawaii thing when it comes to TV? Do they have the option of picking up some of these road games for their weird local broadcasts they do?
They do, to help pay for travel and stuff like that. So if it's not picked up by a network, they can do a pay-per-view back to the islands.
Okay.
Yep.
Fun.
Yep.
Already dreading that week. Saturday, November 25th at Nevada. The Cowboys will close out the regular season against the Wolfpack at McKay Stadium. That is 7 p.m. Get kind of chilly in Reno, Nevada.
That time of year in Reno, I was just going to say that. I've been there before in late November, and it was cold.
Yeah, and then, of course, the Wyoming Cowboys will be hosting the Mountain West Championship game. That is on Saturday, December 2nd. It ought to be nice and cold just like the last one. However, this one starts at 1 p.m.
That'd be Gus Johnson and Joe Klatt.
Yeah.
It's on Fox. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, boy, wouldn't that be nice.
I think they'd be doing the night game for the Big Ten, but you never know.
Yeah, well, it'll take a 1 p.m. inside War Memorial Stadium in December. I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
That would
I think we can talk to some people who can take care of that for us. So overall, we've talked about the schedule before. I have no problem with the game times whatsoever. I think they're great. I love night games. I know a lot of people don't and would rather have that 1 o'clock stuff, and that's fine. But I guess maybe I have a problem, Jared. Maybe I'm an alcoholic because I always loved the night games because I would just say, "Hey, wow, look at all these hours we have to party in the parking lot."
But you don't do that anymore.
Well, I can't now, but I mean,
well, some people think you do that.
yeah, some people do. Isn't that crazy?
Just because Cody walks through Tailgate Park to shake people's hands doesn't mean he's actually indulging out there, folks.
Never.
I can't believe people claim that Cody drinks before he goes and works in the press box.
Well, and I get offered all the time, and I'm like, guys, there's no way. Are you kidding me? I'm not even having one and going in the press box. So, yeah, I don't know who thinks that. But I guess on the flip side, Jared, I met you by drinking my face off in a parking lot at a Wyoming game once upon a time. So maybe they just are thinking...
But I was not drinking because I was working for the department at the time. You remember those old days of how dusty that gravel parking lot would get?
Oh, yeah.
Especially in those, like, October, November, dry.
Mm-hmm. I loved it.
It was miserable out there, though.
I loved it.
And then people would just, like, dump their charcoal in the parking lot and just drive off.
Yeah, dude, I'm so not outdoorsy in any aspect of my life. So tailgating is about as outdoorsy as I get. I absolutely love it. I lived for it. And believe me, to this day, it is the hardest thing about this job for me personally is to not be able to have fun and not be in the stands and not indulge and not have a great time.
And I never got to do any of that back in the day, working all those years in the department. And then once the year I finally stepped aside and got to do it, I was like, this is awesome.
Isn't it?
And last year it killed me because I missed 4 home games.
That's true. I forgot about that. So. Yeah, one day if I can retire, I would just go right back to being a creep and being in the parking lot. I used to have the number 2 spot, too, so back in those days, you could actually leave the stadium at halftime. I'd get 8 beers down at halftime and be back in my seat for the kick. Not anymore. So that is the hardest part. I miss it so
And, folks, when he says 8 beers, that's not an exaggeration.
No, it's funny.
He always buys 2 at a time.
Yep.
And he was actually drinking Coors Lights the other night.
That's
because
why
they didn't have Coors.
That's why I had to go to the bar and cap off the night with about 18 more. Speaking of the other night, Jared and I were privileged to win large market best sports coverage for our 7220sports.com kickoff show, which we do every game day, of course, during the football season. So that was cool. That was fun. I mean, I think that was my first ever radio award. I've never even been to a WAB Awards ceremony before, so to win it the first year we're doing it was pretty cool. First year we turned it in anyway. Yep. Was pretty cool. So if I'm going, I definitely don't want to lose.
I totally agree with you there. And congratulations to all the winners out there.
Yep.
And as you posted it on social media, and I responded by saying, happy to be a part of this team, but there's a lot bigger things to come. And we're not kidding, folks. We got some plans. We don't know if we're going to be able to do them, but we got some plans.
Absolutely. So. Do some awesome stuff. And, and a big thanks to somebody, it's easy to forget about, which it shouldn't be, is our sponsors. We had a lot of really great sponsors on that show. We were planted outside of Dickey's every Saturday during the season, which was great. We were glad to have them. A lot of people stopped by Dickey's, and a lot of people won free tickets and stuff like that. So,
and plus, it gave great. Cody his barbecue fix to have the burn ends every Saturday.
That's true. By the way, I meant to tell you, burn ends at Sanford's are pretty damn legit.
Well, let's get him on board.
Let's do it. I've tried. Believe me, I've tried. Do you want to go over the win totals, Jared? Or you got that pulled up?
I will in a second if you want to talk about Juan Soto real quick.
Yeah, I don't have Juan pulled up right now, but what I can talk about here is Joshua Hunter wrote a story about him last week, the new PA announcer at War Memorial Stadium. He's really excited. It was really cool to hear that he is a Worland native. He hasn't lived in Worland in a long time, and he used to come back and play Legion baseball with them. Was very happy to announce he won 2 state titles playing for the Worland Warriors. But this guy's like, he told me he's Mr. Fill-In. He fills in a lot for Alan Roach, who's probably arguably the most famous PA voice of all time. So he fills in for him a lot, Broncos games, and I think he only said he hasn't done the Nuggets and the Rockies, but other than that, he's done every sport you could imagine up and down the Front Range, was the voice of Folsom Field for a while, been working with UNC down in Greeley forever. Oh, the other one he hasn't done is CSU, and he was like, man, he went to high school in Fort Collins, and he lives right in Severance, and he's asked him before, hey, if you need a fill-in, I'd be happy to do it, and he said they never called, and
I'm glad
good for Wyoming. Yeah, good for Wyoming. Got a good voice. If you listen in the story I wrote, there's a little clip of him. He was also the public address announcer for the first ever game of the Seattle Kraken, which is really cool. And so you got to hear him do the opening lineups in the story. There's a video, so check that out. Jack Noakes has been the voice of War Memorial Stadium, I believe, for 41 years. And nothing against Jack Noakes whatsoever, although he did go to Colorado State, I saw on Facebook. His voice can really remind you of some great moments, and it can also remind you of just some pure misery. Remember just listening to him when Wyoming, back in the early 2000s, when Wyoming was just getting curb stomped, and it'd just be 1st and 10, San Diego State. And
well, one of those years, there was a fumbled PAT attempt, and his mic was hot, and he goes, "Oh, Jesus." And
so he spoke for all of us.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Nobody was listening because nobody was there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing I'm thinking it's minus 20. We're sitting in War Memorial Stadium losing to New Mexico by 30 or San Diego State in back-to-back weeks by 30-plus, and you just hear his voice, and it just became the voice of dread in so many ways. And once again, that's nothing against him. He also had some great moments, too, but excited for a new voice. Excited for Jack, too. He's got to be stoked to be in retirement and all that good stuff. So congratulations on a great career. But excited for some new blood there. There's also some new blood on the basketball court. I'll be doing a story about him as we get closer to the basketball season. So making some moves there for your game day experience. And that's something I'm going to post on Twitter here. Probably post a little story on it. Just what do you think would make the game day experience better? As far as I think this dead or alive thing the Cowboys run out to, it's fine. Could it be spruced up? I would love to be known for Virginia Tech having Inner Sandman and the whole place going absolutely ballistic.
Yeah, I agree with that. Between the third and fourth quarters when they do Cotton Eye Joe, I'd like to, send that one to the curb myself and try something different. The walkout music I'm fine with. I don't care about that. But the music overall during the games, needs spruced up. I think there's times that it's absolutely brutal. And I know that they get complaints about it being too loud. The older people don't like it. You know what? It's a college football game. Don't come if you don't want to hear loud music.
It's so bizarre, isn't it?
Do you cover your ears when people are cheering?
Well, and to me, you know I'm a metalhead, but why not more metal? Like, what gets you more revved up to go rip somebody's head off than listening to a little metal?
There was a couple of times in the last couple of years when they've won games and they're on the field and they're playing this slow, it's almost like romantic music. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
I know. Yeah, this is supposed to be a party, guys.
There should be, after Cowgirl games wins, it should probably be the Cody Johnson, Ian Munsick song, Long Live Cowgirls.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense.
And then for the Cowboy games, there should be something. Chancey Williams, he wrote a song, The World Needs More Cowboys.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? Turn that into the country roads that West Virginia does?
Exactly.
Because that looks awesome.
Chancey and Ian are both big-time Nashville artists now.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity there. Or go back to an old Chris Ledoux song if you want to.
Yeah.
Or a Ned Ledoux song. I don't care. But do something that ties in the culture of the state, not the crap that's on the radio today.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, well, it sounds like this story's going to get some feedback. I know there's some guys like Jim Manest out there who's like, what happened to the WYO chant? I'm like, I don't know, man.
Totally agree with Jim on that one. That was a staple. And it's fine doing it between quarters, but how about doing it during a timeout when you know the team's coming back on the field, like when Wyoming's on defense?
Yeah.
And that chant is still going back and forth.
It is
That's
cool.
about as loud as that stadium gets when it's full and they're doing the WYO chant.
Yeah, it's good.
That's the time to do it, marketing, not in between quarters when it's totally dead.
Who's in control of this? Maybe we should get him on here and just roast him.
Shelley. We will invite Shelley on.
I think Josh Hunter was telling me that Shelley's the one who hired him.
Yeah,
and I was
Shelley's
thinking,
great.
I've never met Shelley, but he said
She's
she's
great.
awesome.
And she was at Wyoming for a while. Then she left and went to the West Coast and worked at a couple of schools and then came back.
Good. Yeah, I was talking to him about her. I've never heard of her before. So,
Well, I'll bounce back real quick to Juan Soto. He
Yeah.
works in the Cowboy Joe Club. Congratulations to him.
Good friend of
He's
ours.
down at the NACTA convention in Orlando. I believe he comes back today probably.
Mm-hmm.
But he was one of the winners of the National Diversity Initiative Award. And it's great for him. He's in his 40s, folks. He went back to college and finished his degree. And it takes a lot to do that at that age. And after being, away for such a long time, and good for him, and he now has a full-time position in the athletics department, and he bleeds brown and gold as much as Cody and I do. And he's doing a really good job. I think it's right at his first year of doing this.
Yeah.
And he's doing really good.
yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Really proud of Juan. It's always funny when you run into somebody who's not traditional, which I was not traditional as far as school as well. And they go, "Oh, I'm going back to school." And you go, "Yeah, right. You're going to be there for 5 minutes and go, this sucks."
I saw a social media post from him. He's on a bus going to something, and he's got a sport coat on. And, of course, it's hot and humid in Orlando this time of year, and he's complaining about that. And I wanted to say, when I went to NACTA, I don't remember taking a sport coat because I didn't care, I suppose. But I wasn't winning an award either. But, I mean, golf shirts
Yeah.
and khakis, that's kind of the look that these conventions go for.
Yeah. Yeah, really proud of Juan. He's such a good guy. He's about as genuine as it gets. So when I saw that, I was really stoked for him. And he did go back to school and he got his degree, and he's just done it the right way, man.
Yeah, but he needs to follow some better teams. Patriots and the Red Sox.
Yeah, we mostly talk baseball.
Yeah, Juan, we're after you.
We'll have to get Juan on one of these days too. I think I had him on the podcast 100 years ago when I was on my own, and he's a funny dude, man.
He is, dude.
This week also, Phil Still, of course, famous magazine that everybody loves to read that just breaks down every team under the absolute sun. I know I love it, and I couldn't wait for it to come out every single year. They released their preseason All-Mountain West team, and 10 Wyoming Cowboys are on that team, including junior place kicker, John Hoyland, who was named a third-team All-American by the magazine, which is nothing official per se, but Phil Still is college football royalty.
And he was second-team preseason All-American for Athlon.
For Athlon, yep. Yep, exactly. The other guys on this list, first-teamers, defensive tackle Jordan Bertinelli, graduate offensive tackle Frank Crum, junior middle linebacker Easton Gibbs, and junior defensive end Devon Harris. No problem there for me. Really good picks. They're just missing one who happens to be on the fourth team, and that's Cole Goodbow. One injury that kept him out of a handful of games last year knocked him down to the fourth team. This guy's a beast, man. Him and Bertinelli, I will guarantee it right now, him and Bertinelli will be first team All-Mountain West defensive line next year, at the end of the year. Guaranteed your money back unless they have an injury.
Okay, I was just going to throw that in there. Knock on wood on that.
Unless they have an injury, it ain't happening, or it's going to happen. Second team here, running back DeWine McNeely. Nice to see him on the list. Harrison Whaley was a first-teamer by Athlon, the transfer from Northern Illinois. Actually kind of shocked to see Harrison Whaley's not on this list at all. And then graduate tight end Trayton Welch. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him on the first team at the end of the year as well.
I agree with that. And these preseason teams for these magazines sometimes, I think the transfers might get lost in the mix.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Athlon did their homework and knows that he's here. Phil Steele and his contributors, because he doesn't do the entire magazine himself. He has a lot of contributors.
I think Gagliardi used to contribute.
They may have overseen that one. And
Yeah.
Just they looked at the returning stats and that's it.
Yeah, and then here on the third team, they pick sophomore defensive end Sebastian Harsh. Sebastian Harsh hasn't done anything on the field yet. His promise is incredible. His upside's incredible, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see him on first, second, or third team at the end of the season. However, he hasn't done anything yet to even be on this list, and Cole Goodbow's on the fourth team. I'm not buying that for a second. Shea Suinoa, junior weak side linebacker. He is also on the third team. No problem there. If you checked out 7220sports.com, I did a story on Shea last week. I have some leftovers from spring football that I've been kind of popping out here and there since it's so dead during the summer. Re-listening to Shea's interview, he is so humble and so aware. I mean, he missed 21 tackles last year, and we griped about it all year that, damn it, he's there, he's Johnny on the spot, why isn't he not bringing the guy down? And sometimes he wasn't making this excuse, but others were making this excuse for him. You got to think about it, man. He's been in Laramie for like 4 years already, but he hasn't played. And he was a quarterback, strictly a quarterback down at Clear Lake High School in the Houston area. So he got recruited as a 3-star quarterback, and he came here and just played linebacker and didn't play. I mean, look at the guys he's been behind, and Logan Wilson, and Cash Malawia, and Chad Muma, and Easton Gibbs, and he finally got his chance last year. And now he's got Connor Shea, a guy behind him who's pushing him. And unfortunately, Suinoa didn't get to practice. He had a torn labrum, so he wasn't able to practice this entire spring. So he's had adversity the whole time he's been here, and he's just getting pushed and getting pushed. He finally got his spot, so I expect a huge year out of him. He knows tackling's a big, big deal. So I'm really thinking that Shea Suinoa can have a huge year because they're going to try and stay away from Easton Gibbs as much as possible.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and Shea was the second leading tackler on the team with like 70-something last year. Easton's in the hundreds. I mean, he's just making plays all over the joint. So you think about it, 21 missed tackles. They could have had 200, near 100 tackle guys just in the linebacking core. So once again, we say this a lot, good problem to have. They have a lot of good linebackers on this team. So go check that story out on Shea, though. He's kind of finding his love for football again after kind of sitting, he played a lot of special teams, but he's kind of been on the sideline. Went from star quarterback in high school to sitting on the sideline for 4 years in Laramie. So, and he still has a couple years of eligibility left. So I think he's going to have a huge year as well. And then like we said, John Hoyland, he's getting a lot of love. Lou Groza finalist a couple years ago. Really good kicker. Cowboys have been blessed to have a lot of those. But, when it's all said and done, John Hoyland might be the best of them all.
Yeah.
So he's got a couple years remaining as well. So that's pretty much football. Wrote a story this week on Evan Swoboda to check out as well. I know a lot of people are saying, and I wrote it in the story, a lot of people are saying, man, he wasn't very impressive in these 2 spring outings he's had. Yeah, well, we're not privy to practice. We can't watch practice. Craig Bull has charted every single one of his throws. Obviously, he did enough. I am pretty damn confident in saying that Evan Swoboda is going to be Andrew Peasley's backup when Texas Tech comes to town. They gave him every opportunity to do it because the sand's pouring through the hourglass. And like Tim Polasek mentioned to me that I wrote in the story, It's a business now. College football is a business. What can you do for me now? And they didn't know what the hell they had. They don't know what they have in Evan Svoboda, so they gave him the lion's share of the reps during the offseason. He's going to get a huge chance again here in the fall. And, make no mistake, it's Andrew Peasley's game. He's going to be the quarterback, but who's behind him? We know what Jaden Clemens can do. We've seen some really good. We've seen some not so good. But they need to know what they have in this kid. He's 6'5", 245 pounds, and he can throw it, like Craig Bull says, to places no other quarterback since another number 17 was in Laramie. Mm-hmm. So,
well, and I've seen a lot of comments on social media from that post that you did regarding this article, and people are saying, give him a chance. Peasley's out of there.
Yeah.
Like, guys, Peasley was a team captain last year as a transfer.
Yeah.
It's his position to lose, and he's going to be the starter come Texas Tech.
He threw for 1,500 yards last year. No quarterback's done that in Laramie. Not that that's huge numbers or anything, but no quarterback's done that in Laramie since Allen. And he had a really nice stretch.
And he was out a couple games.
Yeah.
He was dinged up, and he played hurt and probably shouldn't have been out there a couple times. And don't take anything away from his spring game interception right before halftime.
Yeah.
They will never call that play in a real game.
Never.
Never.
I mentioned that to Craig right after, and he goes, you kidding me? My head exploded, but then I got back to reality for a second and realized, we all know Craig Bull, guys. That's going on a knee. There's no doubt about it. Peasley's got something, man. I can't really put my finger on it. I can't describe it, but he's got it as far as leadership goes, and his teammates love him, and he's a really good guy. He's a really cool guy.
He's been around the state this summer already doing some camps, and I know he's getting paid for it, but good. Good for him.
He was at Frontier Days last year. He's a cool dude. He definitely got the respect of his teammates, and Craig Bull keeps saying it. And guys, we can't speak on this because we can't see practice. Coach talks about it all the time that he's so much better than he was last year. And it took a long time to learn this offense because whether you want to make fun of it or mock it or whatever it is, that doesn't make it any different. It doesn't change the fact that it's extremely different than what Utah State does. Mm-hmm. It's like learning a foreign language. And you're also learning your teammates and you're in a new place. And I'm not just giving Andrew Peasley a ton of excuses here. It's reality. He never even took a snap under center for 4 years in Logan, Utah. So, that's an adjustment in itself. If you think about that right now, being under center, taking that snap, taking a couple steps back, that's when you have to start surveying the field, when instead he was already back there, gets the ball, he already knows where he's going with it. It's just a huge adjustment, and I see people making fun of this all the time because of how bad Wyoming's offensive passing attack is, and I get that, but it's still different. It's still extremely different. Yep. So now he's comfortable, as well as Evan Svoboda. Evan said a lot of the things that were happening to Andrew happened to him. He's learning new people, new places, new things, speed of the game. That's the only thing that Andrew Peasley probably had on Svoboda last year was he knew the speed of the game already. So, anyway, it's Peasley. It's going to be Peasley.
Yeah,
you can bitch and moan all you want. It's going to be Peasley. And like we've talked about on this show numerous times, they didn't let him run last year. And now if he can run and they let him actually get out of the pocket and do stuff, which they will because he's a senior. And if he goes down, it's next guy up. Yep. Last year it was who the hell is coming in if he goes down. And he still got injured, but he's really, you saw it in spurts. Jared, you brought it up last time we were on the show. Against San Jose State, he gutted them. That was a 60-yard run.
He ran away from the DBs.
Yeah.
And he did really good job against Illinois. Not that he ran away from him, but he still got to the corner and made positive yards.
Yeah, that's a huge part of his weaponry, man. And I think we're going to see that this year. If he gets in trouble, he's gone. He's going to be gone, and it won't be all these throwaways, which we raved about his throwaways all year last year. But it can't be that anymore. You're a senior. You got to let it all hang out, and you got to go.
We talked about it on the show. Yes, he did throw some really bad passes that should have been pick sixes. But you know what? They weren't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And that leads us into you asked me if I had these win totals pulled up. I know we talked about them early on about FanDuel and stuff, but now there's 5 different betting sites that has the win totals out. And like I said earlier, shop around for your best odds. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just start off with Wyoming. FanDuel and BetMGM both have Wyoming's win total at 5.5.
Take that all day.
You
with
got
7 home games,
folks.
7 home games and 5.5 wins.
Yeah, and that's
And one of your road games at Nevada, one of them's at UNLV.
6-6 season right there, folks. You win money. The other ones, Caesars, DraftKings, and Circa all have it at 6.5, so you would need 7 wins to win that one. But either way, I would jump on all of those all day long. Air Force is somewhat surprising to me at 8.5.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at their schedule, but that's one thing you should always do is look at their non-conference schedules to see where those patsies are and what you can chalk up as wins for sure. And then say if they look like they're going to be 3-1 at the end of the non-conference season, then you go into the conference season and say, well, if they can get to 4-4 in conference, that's a 7-win season. I got the over 6.5. I'm a winner. Boise State mixed results there, anywhere from 7.5 to 8.5. Colorado State 4.5 and 5. I would think that you would want to take the over on that one. I think they can get to 5. Not quite sure, but they have a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah, they do. They had more first-teamers. Phil Still had more first-teamers for CSU than he did Wyoming. Mm-hmm. They do have talent. They have no offensive line.
They can come together.
Yeah.
Fresno State's 8.5. Hawaii 3.5. Nevada's 4.5, all the way down to 3.5 for one.
Fresno's replacing so many guys, so many impact guys. I'm kind of stunned how much people still believe in the Bulldogs.
Here's one that I haven't looked at their schedule, nor do I know fully who's all coming back, but San Jose State, 5.5.
They're losing a ton on defense, but Chevin Cordero's back.
Yeah, I think they can get to 6.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and looking at Air Force's schedule, since you brought it up, they have a real banger to start the season against Robert Morris at home. For those of you that don't know, Robert Morris is a tiny-ass little school in Pittsburgh, and they're not even Division I football. And then they play another FCS team in Week 2, and that is also that's at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, against Sam Houston State. And then they get to come home for Utah State, which I think we all expect Utah State to be pretty down this year. I don't know if you even named their...
They're at 5.5 and 5.
That seems really high to me. Utah State is not expected to be
UNLV
very
is surprising to me, 6.5 and 6.
Yeah, they got some dudes.
I know they have a new coach and they got some guys, but I don't know if he's going to work wonders that quickly.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's the same coach, by the way, who coached Mizzou in 2019. And then Air Force takes on San Jose State at San Jose. I think that could be a big game. Chevin Cordero's a really good quarterback. They lost a ton on the defensive side of the ball. Then they host San Diego State. So they're one of the teams that gets to play San Diego State, San Jose State, and they play Boise State in Boise to end the year. Then they have Wyoming at Navy, at Colorado State. They're playing Army in Power Field at Mile High this year in Denver.
Oh, nice.
So they got a couple of neutral site games. Then they go make the trip to Hawaii and then come home for UNLV, then at Boise State.
They're not going to get to 8.5.
6 wins.
Even if they get to 8, you're a winner.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. The Falcons, I know it's a machine, but they're also missing the nation's leading rusher and their quarterback who holds all kinds of school records.
Who's the stud safety?
They have a stud safety every year.
Was it Steele?
Steelhammer, I think, was a couple years ago. Yeah, they always have a new stud back there. So Air Force is going to be Air Force. They're going to be good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But 8.5, 9 wins. I mean, it's definitely going to aid in that thanks to playing teams like Robert Morris and Sam Houston.
Houston State, though,
But 2 FCS schools on your schedule? That's embarrassing.
Sam Houston State was in the national championship. Was it two
couple years ago? Yeah. And they're playing that in Houston. I mean, I'd love to see Sam Houston find a way to win that game. But, I mean, on paper here, you look at 2 FCS schools to start the year. I mean, that's do better than that. I mean, I don't like that at all.
Nope.
And I'm all for Wyoming playing one of those a year, but to be honest with you, I'd be all for Wyoming not playing any of those.
There's years that Wyoming doesn't play them, but every once in a while they have to balance it out. And this year, having 2 Big 12 teams on their schedule, that's why Portland State's on the schedule.
Yeah, that makes sense this year for sure. Also, this last week, I'm sure you know by now, former Wyoming quarterback Josh Allen is on the Madden cover, which is really, that's really cool. I know these video game nerds are huge into this stuff. It is cool, even though I hate video games. I think it's really cool. First Buffalo Bill, obviously first Wyoming Cowboy to ever have that happen to. And I know Josh is a big gamer too, so it's a dream come true for him, and really excited about it. So that's really cool. More PR for Wyoming. Just keep it rolling.
Absolutely. And this week is the CNFR up in Casper, College National Finals Rodeo. Wyoming Cowboy Donnie Profit, he's of Kemmer, former wrestler for the Pokes as well. He is going to be in the bid for a national championship come Saturday in the short go.
Do you have teams?
Bareback riding.
Do you have team scores by chance?
I can find them here. But then there's a few other Cowboys and Cowgirls doing okay, and some of them had some tough luck as well.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are sitting 23rd in the men's standings right now. Not great by any means. And the women are splitting 9th in the national standings.
Do you think not having a coach right now plays any part?
Zero.
Okay.
Absolutely zero.
Because these guys are used to traveling to rodeos all over the world by themselves, or all over the country by themselves.
These guys they pay for their entry fees. A lot of these guys go to pro rodeos now. Donnie Profit's had some big wins out there already this year in the bareback riding at some big time rodeos. So he's used to it. I would say maybe just from a confidence standpoint, just to hey, take your time. You need to get under this time or something like that. But take your time. Make sure that the goat or the calf is tied.
Yeah.
Just take your time, type of a deal.
Yeah, I figured it probably. Very little impact.
No, not at all. And there is a search going on, and that I bet you that coach is announced here by July 1.
Yeah. Also, I know a lot of fans are always interested in this Rockies night or Wyoming night at the Rockies game. That'll be July 15th, and they're playing the Yankees. So I mean, it's going to be a packed house. Should be a fun time. It's always cool when you see the CSU logos and stuff all over the billboards and stuff, and it's Wyoming night. That's always fun.
Well, and they say that Wyoming night down there, at least especially the first 4 or 5 years they did it, outnumbered CU, CSU, and UNC every single time.
I believe it. In addition to the ticket to the game, which you can get through Rockies.com/Wyoming, each ticket package will come with a limited edition UW Cowboys themed Rockies hat, $2 donation to the UW Alumni Association and the Cowboy Joe Club. Those two clubs are also hosting a pregame event from 2 to 5 at Jackson's Lodo rooftop right across the street at 1520 20th Street. They're on 20th and Blake at Coors Field. Once again, they're playing the Yankees. So,
and you never know, you might see Cody and I.
God, I hope not. The Rockies and Yankees, I can't think of much worse. However, the party sounds fun.
And if you haven't checked out Cody's Test Year University of Wyoming Athletics Knowledge Trivia questions on the site, please do so. Get to that site and do it, because you can win season football tickets and men's and women's basketball tickets.
And a parking pass.
Opportunity to win tickets, folks. Go there and just check them out and test. It's fun. Test your knowledge. Even though I can't win, I did fill it out. I'm a little embarrassed on the first one I did a couple weeks ago because I don't know if I didn't read it right.
I got a message today saying, dude, those basketball questions were brutal. And I'll give you a little cheat one here. Who do you think is a single season leader in blocked shots in Wyoming history?
Well, Theo Ratliff, Justin Williams are two.
But the single who holds the single season record for shot blocks in a single season?
It's not Justin Williams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody so far has said Theo Ratliff.
Oh yeah. I knew that Justin had that record.
Yeah.
I think he led the country, or was top 2 or 3 the season that he did that.
If he would have played more than 2 years in Laramie, he probably would have annihilated Theo Ratliff's shot block record, and that's saying a lot.
I'm surprised that Justin never ended up in the NBA.
He did.
Well, I mean,
like more so.
Yeah.
Not
just 10-day
like Theo.
call-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah, like Theo, yeah. I think his biggest came, I think he played a year or two in Sacramento. I know he's coaching with Jason Strait and stuff right now in Chicago. Last time I talked to Jay Strait on the phone, Justin Williams was with him. So there's some Wyoming royalty coaching some preps in their hometown of Chicago. So, also, the University of Wyoming Intercollegiate Athletics Hall of Fame is hosting its annual banquet on September 1st, of course, the night before the home opener against Texas Tech. That's in the Gateway Center on campus. Those tickets are now on sale. Do you go to that?
I used to when I was on the committee. I went all the time. I am kind of embarrassed to say that I've only been to it once since I'm not on the committee anymore. and I should have went a couple years ago when Mike Schenbeck was inducted, and I'm really pissed that I didn't do it. I got to see him during the weekend, but I just the first few years I just wanted to distance myself a little bit from it.
Yeah.
But it's a fun event. Don't get me wrong. They do a really good job, and if Al and Pete Simpson are able to MC it, it's absolute gold.
I'm going to be in Cody next week, so I'll ask Al.
Those two guys bickering back at each other, and I've heard the same jokes for 30 years. We all have, but they're still funny.
Yeah, they never get old. Those guys are the best. This year's class, of course, Dabby Dawson, awesome selection, great running back for the Cowboys in the late 80s. Chad Levin, I know you knew personally, Wyoming women's basketball.
Yeah, one of the all-time greats, not only coaches, but just people.
Mm-hmm.
He introduced me to Grain Belt beer.
What the hell is that?
It's a Eastern South Dakota, Minnesota beer, and it's like PBR. If it gets warm, you don't want to drink it, but if it's cold, it's not bad.
Okay, I'll take your
very,
word
very
for
cheap.
Larry Nance Jr., you may have heard of him. He played for the Wyoming Cowboys from 2012 to 15. I'll be in New Orleans next week, too. Maybe I'll find a way to hit up Larry Nance Jr. That'd be fun. Aubrey Vandiver, women's basketball, 2007 to 11.
Great player.
Very good player, yes. Very deserving there. The 1968-69 Western Athletic Conference champion men's basketball team and the back-to-back WAC champion wrestling teams of 1984, 85, 85, 86.
Tough dudes on that team.
Yeah. Joe DeCamillis on that team. I don't know any of the other ones.
There's some. If I had it pulled up, I'd definitely be able to rattle off some of those and tell you some more.
You're not winning the WAC championship on accident.
No.
That's for damn sure.
And maybe when you're in New Orleans, you could hit up Zion Williamson's girlfriends. Apparently, folks, they're in the adult movie business.
That's hilarious.
Come on, people.
That's hilarious.
I know you have a lot of money, but how about you find somebody that's not a porn star?
Yeah. That's tough. Times are tough, Jared.
Especially when you make $30 million a year and
by sitting on your fat ass on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, you don't play basketball anymore because you can't stay healthy.
Yeah. Maybe because you're fat.
Oh, and maybe. I guess while we're talking about the NBA, we might as well say congratulations to the Nuggets.
Yeah.
I saw a great post today from Will Ledoux, our friend up in KC, Wyoming.
I was just going to mention that one.
He goes, I didn't know I knew so many Denver Nuggets fans.
It's amazing, isn't it? This reminds me of 2007 when the Rockies actually went to the World Series and swept my Phillies, and then all of a sudden they were just crawling out of the walls, and it really, really pissed me off.
And folks, if you love Ned Ledoux and country music, Chris Ledoux Days are Saturday night in KC. Reckless Kelly is playing. Great band. They're out of Austin now, but they're from Idaho originally, and they are hanging it up in another year after 25 years on the road. So this will probably be your last time you'll be able to see them in the state of Wyoming.
Did you talk Roxanne into letting you go?
We're definitely going to be in the area, so it's just going to be like, yeah, we're going.
Where do you stay in Buffalo? Is there anywhere you can stay out there?
We'll just come back to Casper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought I'd really like to go to that, but where the hell do you stay? And there's no way in hell I'm staying in a tent or.
There is a campground there. The first year I went up to it when they had the statue and all that stuff, and Garth Brooks was there and everything. I slept in my truck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris Ledoux Days. I'm not roughing it.
It's fun though. It's just you just drink beer in the streets.
I'd wake up so hungover, sleeping in my front of my car. That sounds awful. Just can't do it.
Just have a DD and go back to Casper.
That's the problem. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody who doesn't drink.
That's why you hire a 19-year-old to go with you.
Oh, there you go. That's not a bad idea. Actually, last time I did that, funny story, I did that with my little sister. She drove us to Woodloggers Jamboree and Encampment. Ended up getting absolutely rip-roaring smashed. But you know what? I had a DD, so I'm fine with it. Obviously, the law had passed where you cannot have open containers in your car. I chose to ignore that and say, hey, if we get pulled over, I'll just say, did that law pass? So I was absolutely just ripped out of my skull, and we were driving back to I-80 to head back to Cheyenne. Not to get in too much detail, I had to use the restroom. My sister refused to pull over. There was a big gulp cup. I picked up the Big Gulp cup, did what I had to do, tossed the liquid out of we were driving my old convertible at the time, tossed the liquid out of my convertible, and then saw some red and blue lights because I just blinded the windshield of a female Wyoming highway patrolwoman. She was fit to be tied, to say the least, and came up with her big flashlight, and I had beer cans up to my knees in the front seat. And she didn't really buy the whole, I threw some warm beer out the window. She asked me why I was on my knees. I told her, why would I take a leak in front of my sister? It didn't work. We got a ton of tickets for that one and was lucky not to go to jail.
Much more mature now.
Yes, much. Any 19-year-olds
Well, maybe
out there,
not next week on vacation, but
any 19-year-olds who want to drive me places, please let me know. You can apply at 7220sports.com. We better wrap up now before we get in trouble. And I can't believe we've actually gone an hour again. I think I say that every single time we do this.
that's why we just have to have it. We're just going to say it's an hour long.
It's an hour. Yeah, so I'm going to be gone next week, so no show. Joey and Stu and all you who, Jim, all of our regulars who we love so much that love to reach out.
You know what, though? Thank you all for listening.
Yeah.
We've had some really, really good weeks to where we're hitting over 1,000 listeners, so we certainly appreciate it. And in the podcast world, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, not bad, especially considering neither one of us are podcasters or radio guys. Look at us faking it.
Just a couple of dudes doing what dudes do.
Look at us faking it, man. That's all we do is fake it to make it. Love it. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us again this week. We'll see you probably here in a couple of weeks. Heading up to Cody for Celebrities Against Cancer, or Celebrities for a Cause, I believe is going to Special Olympics Wyoming this year. Ryan Brown does an unbelievable job up there. So if you're in the Cody area, 28th, 29th, 30th, and 1st, Marcus Harris will be there. I think Ryan Yarborough's coming. Rod Woodson, former great safety in the NFL, Hall of Famer, unbelievable player. I think a lot of the former John Rocker and Mike Hampton and all those guys, I think they're coming every year for life. So good time up there. Jim Hacksaw Duggan was there last time, guys like that. So it's a lot of fun. He gets a lot of really cool celebrities, and everybody has fun, and you can ask him a million questions. And like I got to ask Mike Hampton about all of his, who hit the furthest home run off you, did you ever strike out Barry Bonds? Fist fights in the clubhouse, stuff like that. So it's such a good time.
And Kanye doesn't live there anymore, so go have fun.
Yep, no Kanye. Eric Bischoff does live there, though, the wrestling dude who owned like WWF or whatever. He lives there, so I'm sure. If you're in the area, stop by and say hello. So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.